Welcome to the 2021 Annual General Meeting of the Lake of Bays Heritage Foundation. Now, here's our president, Judith Mills.
This is the meeting's agenda. And first of all, we'll go over the minutes from last year's, get the approval for that. Then the president's report, and the treasurer's report, plus the appointment of an external accountant, then the election of directors. And I am to ask it at this point if there are any other items to be added to the agenda. So if anybody has something else to add, then we'll just move on to the next. Okay. So first of all, we need to appoint the secretary. I'd like to appoint Simon Miles as the secretary for the annual general meeting of our members. Do you accept, Simon?
Agreed.
Okay.
And right away, I'll move that the minutes of the last annual general meeting of last year be approved. And I should mention that they have been approved informally by the board already. And so there's a pretty good chance that there's nothing wrong with them. But if anybody has any objections, now's the chance to raise your voice. And hearing nothing, I would like to move that the minutes be approved. And do I have a seconder, Judith?
I'll second it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Carried.
Okay, so now we're going to stop the sharing for this important vote. There's everybody. So everybody that agrees, put up your hand. Okay, Simon, anybody disagrees? You've got your vote, Simon.
No hands. Okay. Moving right along.
Okay, and I'm back here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're on to the president's report. Okay, the moment you've all been waiting for. What I'd like to say is, despite the measures and so on with COVID, we had a pretty good year in fiscal 2021. And here are some of the key indicators that we keep our eyes on. The membership for the first time has exceeded 1,000, and that's made up of 279 couples and 509 individuals. It adds up to 1,076 members as at April 30th. And during the year, we get 225 new members, which is a record for us, and 16 new life members. As far as our community engagement went, we had 18 newsletters or notices, plus Tracy did many Facebook posts and tweets and that sort of thing. And the support for the defense of Langmaid was just amazing. And Mike will go over that when he gets to the financial things. But I think a lot of our new members and new life members came from those people supporting us in the Langmaid's defense. Memorials, I'd just like to pause for a second and say, well, we lost 3 of our major donors this year. That was Phyllis and Graham Ferguson passed away, as did Richard Hogarth. So, and all of them were great contributors to the Lake Bays community, and they'll be missed. We had something else going on with memorials, and this is a little bit different than other years, I think. But we had 6 different families, and some of them weren't even members of the Heritage Foundation. And they suggested, when a loved one died in their family, they suggested donations to the Lake Bays Heritage Foundation. So we received 42 donations, totaling $6,530. So it's sort of a new trend, and we make sure that we communicate fully with them, get back to them, find out who it is that in the family that's going to get the list from us, etc. So we manage it very carefully so that everybody ends up feeling recognized. And our financial position continues to be strong, which Mike is going to show you in a few minutes. So we can go on to the next one. Last year, if you were at the meeting, you may remember that we raised the minimum membership fee from $25 to $40. It had been $25 as the minimum since 1985, back in Simon's day. And we decided that we should raise it to $40 because we deemed there were more benefits for membership now, plus inflation over the years. But this is how it played out. In the middle column, it's 2020. So we had 102 people joined with just the minimum fee. So there were other people that joined or renewed, and they gave us $100. We're not looking at that category because we're just trying to get a fix on how upset people were with us increasing the fee. In 2021, 33 people renewed at the $25 mark before things really got implemented. And 171 members renewed or joined at the $40 mark. So 204 versus 102. So we think that that was a good thing, and it was accepted by our members. Some of the social media things, we replaced our old website, which was on technology no longer supported. So it was a must do. We kind of limped along for a couple of years there, but then we had to do something. And it was a COVID project. And that was kind of fun, I thought, because there were 3 of us that would meet by Zoom at least once a week, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And we launched it successfully in 2020. We've had many positive comments regarding the content, usability, the pictures, etc. And we have a lot more content we were able to put on it this round. And last month, the average monthly visits is well over 1,000, and page views a little less than 2,000. We also have a YouTube channel. It has 17 videos now. And the most recent one was the Simon Miles video, we lovingly call it, because he created this video or produced this video with a photographer.
I think so, yeah. Okay.
Oh,
That
Ian, is that you? Can you mute yourself?
What's the meeting with Doug Platson about? David?
Okay, sorry, folks. Ian, mute yourself. I'll mute everybody, but that won't work either.
Oh, okay, great, okay,
that
okay.
Ian in another meeting?
I gotta get back to a meeting.
Somebody on a phone, and I can't see who unless I turn the presentation.
Okay. All right. Anyway, thanks for dropping in. So anyway, the videos, the most recent one, I don't know whether you've seen it, but it's the Lower Oxtongue River
Okay.
by drone.
Okay,
Drone.
thanks. Bye-bye.
And
I didn't.
it stars Simon Miles and Mark McLean canoeing the Lower Oxtongue, so it's great. But anyway, with all our channels, the results last month were 259 views of a video on the channel and over 1,000 minutes watched last month. So I think it's partly COVID, but we just think we're getting pretty good at things, that's all. So under community engagement, Gloria presented a heritage plaque to the Pioneer Memorial United Church at Hillside. They had a plaque given to them in the late 1990s, I think, but it didn't weather very well. It was from a different material.
Sorry.
Hello. Okay, and Penny launched an inaugural speaker series with Patrick Boyer, presenting a kaleidoscopic view of the Lake of Bays over the years, and 50 people attended it. And the Harriet T. Weaver bursaries were increased to $900 from $850, and Mike will talk further about that. And the stay-at-home Dr. Kathy Charles Bird Count happened on May 16th, and 12 families participated from their cottage property or wherever, and there were 57 species identified, which was a bit more than last year. And on July 7th, Rick and Kelly Stronks did the butterfly count at Marsh's Falls. It was brief because it rained in the afternoon, but they identified 5 different species, and I understand the highlight was the blue azure, blue northern. Oh, that's not right. You know, we changed that. Doesn't matter. Rick, are you there? What's the right name? The northern azure, I think, is the name. So we'd said northern blue, and Mike and I diddled around with this last night and didn't quite get it right. The Cameron Peck collection, which we are custodians of, has over 1,000 pictures, maybe you're aware of them, photographs of antique boats and pictures of the old steamboats and the receivers lining up at the little railway as the Algonquin came in and that sort of thing. And we have got a representative sample now on the website for your happy viewing. Okay, this is a map of Marsh's Falls. I think you know that we steward 3 different properties. So the Boothby property, the Pike property, and then the Lower Oxtongue River property, which we lovingly call Marsh's Falls. And what's in the blue there is the property that we own and steward. It's 170 acres. It's 50% of the shoreline, approximately, of the Lower Oxtongue River. It was 3 different parcels, which were purchased over time, and all the 3 properties all run together. The most recent one was that little red blob there, because after we purchased the first 2 bigger blocks, there was a lot on the lower Oxtongue River that had a right of way over our property. So when it came up for sale, then we picked that up as well. And we had baseline studies done on the two bigger blocks. We bought them, and we have some trails have been developed in there. But we've had a number of different studies done. We had a species at risk study, a turtle study, a baseline plant study. And the reason I mention that is we're now doing a management plan, pulling together all those different studies plus a biological review right now. And the reason we're doing that is to ensure that natural values are protected as we manage the property. On education outreach, we intend to attract more visits by groups. So historically, we do our events that I'm sure you're all aware of with the butterfly count and so on that I was mentioning, but also some groups either ask or are invited to come and visit the property. So we've had the Probus groups, nature clubs. We've had a group of photographers, we've had a group of painters, and of course the classes from the Irwin Memorial School that bring their class down for a nature program for half a day in June or September. A next objective is to develop a multi-generational nature program, and that would be linked in with the nature room that has just been created thanks to Chris Carnes' family donation. And I haven't told anybody yet, but I've taken pictures, which I'll send to Tracy. But I went there yesterday with my daughter, the other grandmother, and 3 little girls, age 7, 6, and 3. And they loved that room and took all the different pieces outside. And anyway, it was, I'll have to show the pictures. And my daughter's a great photographer and she took a lot of pictures, so I will be able to show people. Then we're also testing. During COVID, we had people, individuals come on the property, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and hiking. And what we've done is, because this isn't groups, these are individuals now, we are testing a process where individuals can register with us and identify how many people are in the group, the names in the group, and then we send them back an email that tells them welcome and they're approved and they agree that there's a waiver to any liability, that there can be no dogs on the property, and where to park and how to access it and that sort of thing. So we'll get a fix on that as we go along as to how much it's used. The volunteers, we've had very motivated volunteers, particularly at Marsh's Falls, and we're very lucky, and we have people lining up to volunteer. So we started a new program, and this is to address the number of people that just trespass on the property. And they're not coming to hike necessarily, but they're coming to see the falls or go to the gazebo, or they come up the river and they beach a boat or a kayak at our waterfront. And so we decided what we do. This was sort of started by Brian Simpson originally, is see if we can get some volunteers to be greeters. So that means just spending 4 hours at the lovely Marsh's Falls, maybe sitting on the deck and admiring the falls and reading a book. But if somebody comes onto the property, then just approach them, welcome them, but explain that it is private property. Explain the foundation's role, that we have endangered species on the property, and we can tell them about the trails. If they're going to do the trails, they must stick to them. And we provide the brochures of the organization and information, as well as the membership form. So that's in pilot as well. And lastly, I'm going to talk about Langmaid's Island, and I'm pretty sure most people are tuned up to this, but I'm going to give you an overview. Langmaid's Island is a Muskoka Heritage Area. It was designated in 1990 something or other, and then it was clearly identified in the Lake of Bays official plan. So it's a special policy area and it's constraining development. So the owners now of the property put in an application to create 32 waterfront building lots. And it was a little bit tricky because if any lot you have on Lake of Bays, you must have 3.3 parking spots. So if you're on an island, you have to, before any lots approved or divisions approved, there must be proof that you've got you've arranged the parking, and the parking's on South Portage Road, which is in the town of Huntsville, and the island's in the township of Lake Bays. So there were two separate applications, and the municipal planners from both municipalities, Township of Lake Bays and the town of Huntsville, did very detailed reports and recommended declining the application. At which point the developers appealed, and we ended up in an LPAT hearing, which took place in February for 5 weeks, February and early March. The opposing parties were the Foundation, Lake Bays Association, Township of Lake Bays, Town of Huntsville, and Kelly Zatar, cottage owner, who has a place on South Portage Road. The executive chair was Gregory Bishop, who presided over the hearing. He has yet to render a decision, and there's no timeline. There's no timeline commitment apparently as to when there has to be a decision. So we just keep our fingers crossed, and we will continue to update members in newsletters and bulletins, and if we win, maybe a large party in the middle of Dwight or Baysville or something. And I think that's it, Mike. So I'm happy to answer any questions people may have. Let's see any hands.
I have a question, please. With regard to Marsh's Falls, is there any movement with regard to the land on the other side of the river below the falls? Do we know whether the owner is pushing for development? Do we know whether the owner has given up on development and is interested in selling, things like that?
Well, Terry, I did, or Doug, I got a hold of his phone number. I talked to him about 4 weeks ago, Zach. And he was I left a message. He called me back immediately. And I told him we were interested in the property. At that point, it had just been taken off the market. And the story from the real estate agent was that a couple had put in an offer, but then when they went to the township and realized there were environmental constraints on it, there'd have to be environmental studies, they withdrew the application. But anyway, Zach told me that he just put it on the market as a test. And I think he wanted 1.3 million. And he said he wouldn't be selling it for anything less than that, and wouldn't be any point. He put that much money into it, and that if it didn't sell, he'd just develop it for his own cottage. So I just said, well, we're very interested, but we're a charity, and we couldn't come up with that amount, but we would be happy to talk to him anytime he wanted to talk. And now that we know each other, we'll just be good neighbors. And so we've left the door open. So but there's no for sale. The for sale sign's down. But what they'd originally planned, because Terry Glover called me one day, that the family of Zach's had some designers, and they wanted to do a multi-unit one building for, I don't know how many people, maybe 16 different families or something, all sharing the property. And then when they found out about Muskoka Heritage Area on that side of the river, that kind of put the kibosh on that. So it sits nowhere. We'd love to have it, because then we could give people access to the river more easily on that side. See, the original plan when we bought the Marsh's Falls property, we talked with the township and they were keen. We wanted to take the top part as you come in and then down to the little beach and lease that to the township for a park. And so people could swim there and so on. But the MTO would not allow public access on a curve. So it couldn't be a public park, but you could on the other side because it's off Fox Point Road. So.
I shouldn't push this special pleading, but I'm wondering whether the township might be further interested. It's a lovely piece of land with no problem of access by car, right? If you go off Port Cunnington Road, and it seems to me there could be a very nice beach there, and be the most interesting feature owned by the township of Lake of Bays for recreation for the local people. One idea, the Lake of Bays, the township owns a bunch of chunks of land in the township that it is never going to develop, and some on the lake. And I think, what they should do is sell the property they have that they don't intend to do anything with and buy this chunk of land.
Hmm. Okay, well, we can approach them and see. I think they were hoping we'd get it and then they could lease that part.
Sure.
But we were all in agreement a public park over there would be good.
Okay.
So,
I'm seeing Terry Glover next week. Maybe I'll mention it. Did you mind it? Should I mention it? You floated?
sure, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I'll be back to you about it.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Okay, if there are no more questions, I am going to make a motion. Yes. So be it resolved that the report of the president of the fiscal year ended April 30th, 2021 is hereby accepted. And I think,
I can second that motion.
oh, thank you, Tracy.
Okay, so now we have to vote. Get to see everybody. Everybody vote to accept the report. Okay, Simon, duly noted. And I am back to here.
And I think it's over to the treasurer now.
You would hope. So, thank you, everybody. Now, I know Judith said she thought hers was the most important report, but I know you're really all here for this because this is the meat of it. But anyway, this is accounting in 10 minutes, and I hope to stick to that timeline for you. Our organization is a collection of funds, and I've got the membership equity, which is the value basically of the funds down the left. Their values 2021, which is the year just ended, last year's comparables, and you can see where the funds have some funds have increased and some have decreased. So I'm going to talk about each one of them in a minute, but overall land conservation is where we own our land. The Girling Fund is a big fund for land acquisitions. Stewardship is for keeping the properties in repair. The Bursary Fund, Glenmount Heritage Fund got a small $200 donation here, and the other two funds I'm going to talk about in a minute. So you can see most of these funds, the ones that matter, the ones that are important to us, have increased, and this is largely because of investment income. And the ones that decreased, we used up Langmaids and we used a bit more money. So I'm going to talk about each of those funds next. But the good thing is we had 178,000 of increases, 46,000 of decreases. So our owner's equity or our members' equity has gone up by $132,000. And if you remembered back to last year, I had my little coronavirus infecting our results. And this is the arrow saying the coronavirus is uninfecting our results. But I also did a slide before the fourth wave comes along, so who knows what's happening there. But let me move on to the funds themselves.
Okay, something.
Oh,
I had realized that.
Lily, stop talking.
Yeah,
Okay, that's Lily Burkett. Okay, so first of all, there's no change in our own land. The three parcels that Judith showed you on the map are the same. We haven't bought any land, or of course, we would never sell any land. But our mortgage is coming up this year. The third parcel of land, we had originally had a mortgage of $168,000. And this first column is the scheme of payments that was originally negotiated. So 4 payments of $26,000 and a balloon payment of $92,000. And what we actually paid was the first 3 payments. And before Langmaid struck, we had some money and we made a little down payment on the balloon payment, if you will, to reduce it. So rather than having to pay $92,000 this September, and it's September 28th, the final payment's due. So rather than me having to come up with $92,000, I only have to come up with $14,000. And this is a picture of me being relieved that I only have to come up with $14,000. Okay, the Stewardship Fund is next. And I've said this before, but I'll reiterate it. The intent is to produce an annual income that can take care of all the properties, even if the whole board goes away and we stop fundraising. I mean, I can't imagine that situation happening, but it could. So this is the investment income on this fund alone should be enough to steward the land, because we've bought it as a land trust and we can't just sell it or abandon it. And as I say here, the fund has grown. We're still short from the recommended guidelines by $160,000. But because we've been paying $27,000 a year in mortgage payments, and we no longer will have to make $27,000 a year in mortgage payments, I believe we could put a similar amount into that fund each year and build it up to the value that it should be. There's no legal requirement for us to have it there, but we do believe that there will become an accreditation process that will, drive us or impel us to have such a fund. And if we don't, we'll be penalized in some fashion. So we're going to try to build that fund over time, and the need to no longer make mortgage payments will help us in that regard. Okay, the bursary fund is next. I think this is well known to all of you. We award 2 scholarships annually, bursaries annually, one for Bracebridge, one for Huntsville. And there's the criteria. It's post-secondary. It's something related to what the foundation does, and it's people that are in need of financial assistance. And I used to call this the Scholarship Fund, but Simon, our local grammarian, has corrected me. It's a bursary fund. And if any of you don't know the difference, like I didn't, between scholarship and bursary, you can look that up after the meeting. But this fund is well underway. Here are the 2 recipients for this year, and I don't suspect you'll be able to read this, but I put it here because this is an exact snapshot from our website. So this is my little pitch to get you to look at the website. Evan Schulten from Bracebridge and Jacob Gallagher from Huntsville. Simon has interviewed both these people. They seem like upstanding young men, and we're glad to help them out with a scholarship. Bursary, excuse me. Okay, here's our favorite fund. Hopefully we've seen the last of it. You never know. This is the fiscal year, remember, we're talking May 1st of last year to April 30th of this year, just passed a few months ago. So we came into the year with $21,000. We raised $121,000. But we spent $181,000. So many of you attended the hearings virtually and saw that how much effort went into it. And it's very hard ahead of time to predict or fundraise or find a balance between the two. So we incurred a deficit of $38,000 from the whole Langmaid's hearing, and we transferred from our general fund $38,000 to cover off that deficit. So the balance at the end of the year for this fund is 0. And for those of you who are familiar with the LOBA financials, they put in something like $34,000 because we were splitting it half and half. So they transferred from their own action fund. And the difference between 34 and 38 has got to do with HST. And I could digress into a discussion of HST recovery, but they recover more of their HST than we recover of ours. So that's the essence of this whole thing here. So right now, the balance of the fund is 0. And if and when, God forbid, that we ever have to resurrect it, we will do that. But right now, we hope that we've heard the end of it if the hearing goes our way. Okay, the next fund is the general fund. And it holds everything that is not specifically related to one of the other funds. So most of our donors, thankfully, donate to the organization with the expectation that we will use the funds in the most appropriate way. So most of our revenues in here, we have miscellaneous income from some rental fees. My beloved water monitoring station, the fee went up from $306 to $312. So we're really rocking there. And then we have some expenses, office supplies, marketing, postage. The biggest one in here this year was the redesign of our website, for which we paid a consultant $5,000. And I will remind you that none of us take any income or salary or wages or anything from the organization. We don't get any travel expenses. It's a very lean organization. And you can see all the details if you want on our financial statements on the website. Nothing much happened in this fund that wouldn't happen normally. And now we have the Marianne Girling Fund. And the presentation here, I thought I would just give a history of the fund since it started. It's been a roller coaster, but we're on track again. So on the first one here, I have the fiscal year ended in April of 2018, 19, 20, and so on and so forth. And the rate of return and the balance of the fund and the rate of return. So this is not a rate of return. This is the date that we were actually given the money, 30th of November of 2018. So up until April 30th of 2019, we actually made 11% in 5 months, 6 months. So that's pretty good. Then COVID hit and the fund dropped 20%. Then COVID ended. Maybe, I don't know, but so far as of April 30th, it was looking pretty good. So we're up 20%, but if you go down 20% and up 20%, you don't quite get back to where you were. So overall, we are up 7% on the whole fund. The fund is now $772,000 instead of $719,000. So we're thankful to Marianne's family for Marianne herself for donating this money. And this is our dry powder, if you will, for any land acquisition that might present itself in the future. And that's the end of it. These statements have been reviewed professionally by Brian Serson, and they're available. You were all made aware of it earlier, but they're available on our website. And you can contact me with questions at Treasurer, or you can ask me questions now. So I will listen for any questions. Are there any questions? Not so far. Okay.
Mike?
Yes.
Mike, it's Rick.
Yeah.
Just go back to the stewardship fund. If I understand this correctly, then if the foundation was to receive a gift of land, so we didn't pay for it, but it was a gift, would we then have to use the value of that property and then in theory take 20% and add it to that stewardship fund?
Yes,
How that would work?
Yeah, so there's no legal requirement right now, but the Ontario Land Trust Alliance is suggesting that. So yes, if somebody gave us a piece of land for easy figuring that was worth $1 million, we should set aside 20% of that amount for maintenance of land, because this let's say we got up to our $258,000 with investment income being so low as it is right now. You could only reliably think you're going to make 3% on this. You know, so that's like $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 a year, and that would be the amount to sort of take care of it, make sure it's not being trespassed upon, clean it up occasionally. That's the concept. But yes, you are right. Theoretically, we would have to put away more money. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So I'm going to go forward now. I've got two motions to present, which are the first one. So this is a motion to accept the financial statements and be it resolved that they be accepted for the year ended. So let's stop sharing for a minute and do our vote. Oh, sorry, I'm proposing it.
I would like, it's Margaret Casey. I'd like to second the motion.
Thank you, Margaret. Okay, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Doug, are you opposed or are you still in favor?
Just a slow response there. I'm getting older.
Okay.
I'm in favor.
All right, Doug's mostly in favor. So Simon, you can record that as a passed motion. And then I will immediately share my screen again and move on to the next slide, which is a motion to appoint the external accountant. Be it resolved that Brian Serson is again reappointed as the external accountant of the foundation to review the statements. And who would like to second that?
Gloria, I will second it.
Okay, Gloria, thank you. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Simon, you can record that as carried as well. LOBA has a lovely voting system that didn't have to do this, but they have access to a souped up version of Zoom that FOCA provides them. So we don't have that. It's our poor person's voting system. Okay, so that's that. And then that's the end of my finance presentation. Here's my HST formula in case anybody's interested. I like my little picture there. So There's only a few more items to take care of now. And for those items, I'm going to pass it back over to Judith.
Okay. Okay, so we have our directors are voted in for, by and large, for a 2-year term. And then we stagger it so that we don't have the whole board coming to the end of the term at the same time. So the following directors are moving now into the 2nd year of their 2-year term. And that's Gloria Woodside, Judith Mills, Mark McLean, and Mike Capteen. So we don't have to vote on anything there. We have 3 departing directors who I would like to thank. We talked a little bit about Simon at the beginning. He's been a director since 1985. So that's, what did we say, 36 years? And he was a member at the founding board. So I think he was involved like for a couple of years before that, just pulling the whole thing together. He's previously been the president and has been our corporate secretary for many years. And he has a wealth of corporate history, knowledge, and somebody mentioned earlier, if we want something edited, then this is the guy to get, because he just does it perfectly. And he also, we call him our grammarian. So anyway, we're sorry to lose him. He sold his island, Crown Island, and so he's going to be leaving the board as of today. And Brian Simpson has been a director since 2012. And we bought the Marsh's Falls portion of the lower Oxtongue River about that time, and not until 2012, but after that. And when we did that, he became the property manager of Marsh's Falls property. And he's just been a wonder as far as engaging volunteers and successfully restoring the property. He's had volunteers helping with all kinds of things. And I know he's got the, I think it's the Arrowhead Park Rangers or something that came down and stained the whole of the outside of the Ed Center. So he's been very good at that, and we will miss him. Penny Thomas, she's been a director since 2015. Prior to that, she was on Gloria Woodside's committee for Built Heritage and Community. And then she became co-chair with Gloria in 2015. And she produced many videos documenting the community histories during that time. And then 2 years ago, she became head of the Education Outreach Committee. And since then, she's designed trail maps and brought in benches and maintained contact with the local schools. And most recently has pulled together this nature room. Okay, that's my phone.
Oh, it's good. That's not allowed.
Okay, that was my phone. That phone's working fine. It's been the rest of the network. So anyway, I just want a deep thank you to all these 3 directors and all the things they've done over their tenure. So so we'll move on. So now we have the directors who are standing for election, and this is Jim Cade. Ian Beverly wants to stand for 1 year. He's very involved in his church and other volunteer activities, and he's doing a governance role for us at the moment. So that'll be great to have another year to get that pulled together. And Tracy Macy, Rick Stronks, and Margaret Casey. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm supposed to ask the floor if there are any other nominations for directors. So, all right. Then let it be resolved that the following persons will be elected to serve as directors of the foundation for a 2-year term starting today. Only one director, Ian Beverly, will be a 1-year term, so starting today. So we need a seconder for that.
Karen Gerling, I second the motion.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? All right, Simon, you can record that as passed. And Judith, I'm going to try to move on. Oh, that's the last slide.
That's the last slide. And so it's over to me again. So we went through the whole agenda and we're able to ask questions and so on. So it's time to terminate the meeting, and be it resolved that the 2021 meeting of the members of the Lake of Bays Heritage Foundation is hereby terminated. And the next meeting will be in August of 2022.